Hello, ciao, hola, konnichiwa, and привет. Welcome back to my channel. It has been a few months, but I'm back today to finally share this video with you on how I remade my home studio. This is something that I wanted to do for a while. I'd been in this space for quite some time and always wanted something a bit different, something a bit darker. I was always afraid of the investment that I'd have to make, but it's something that I had really wanted for a while. From painting to refurnishing to building my own shelves, this studio makeover was quite the process, but I now have a space that I can sit in for hours with brush in hand and Salem in lap. And after the mess that was back when we moved in, I think she appreciates the change as much, if not more, than I do. So let's get started. While not the prettiest, it certainly wasn't the worst space I'd ever had. Though small, this has probably been my most functional space ever. Everything has a place, those places could just use some refining. Now, this is a big change, I think. Aside from wanting to replace my table, the biggest thing that I envisioned for this space was changing the color of it completely. I wanted something that would be comfortable, yet not so warm that I'd wrap myself up in a heated blanket and fall asleep. So I really wanted dark walls for this studio and warm reddish brown furniture. And since I wanted to replace the table on the right with something less bulky, I'd need a new place to put my things. Some lovely Victorian inspired shelves would give the space so much character. I also really wanted to add molding to the walls. I played around with the color the molding could be, keeping in mind that the shelf brackets would be black cast iron. I thought gold, silver, or a reddish brown to match the wooden shelves. In the end, I landed on gold. This was the idea I was going for. Depending on the quality of supplies you want to get, this could work on a budget. To get the molding I wanted, I would need to buy cheaper wood for my shelves and possibly a lower quality paint. It would also mean possibly sticking with the same paint table or something as low cost. Personally, I generally prefer saving up for quality materials that I won't need to replace. I didn't want to make shelves that I couldn't be confident in, and I absolutely did not want to get anything less than a painting table I could have for the rest of time. So I decided to pass on the molding for now. And having found the perfect brackets for my shelves, as well as chosen oak for the wood, I decided to stick with just one shelf on each wall. That left me with this as my final wall plan. As for the furniture, I wanted to move my computer onto my painting table, furthest from my easel, so I could keep my drafting table inclined, also so I couldn't make a mess on it anymore. That said, this was my final plan. Now to put it all together. This project would transform this place completely. As such, I made a list of tasks I had to do. I'd need to prep the space, meaning clearing, cleaning, sanding, and covering. Then I'd paint the walls. I also had to build my shelves from scratch, meaning cutting, sanding, and staining them to best match the new table. The brackets had to be ordered too. And once I had everything together, I'd be able to bring them and the new table into the studio and put it all together. Thankfully, I'd taken care of the shelves and acquired my table before ever clearing out the area. They were ready and just waiting to be installed. All that was left to do was prep, paint, and put it all together. Taping the space was quite the process, partially because I'm short and partially because I must do everything perfectly the first time. That meant spending an excessive amount of time trying to line up my tape to be straight along the line of the molding, kneading the tape over my outlets to be precisely cut to shape, and going over all of it to press the tape down as well as I could. Much of my time was spent standing and thinking over how best to proceed. I'm sure fear was plenty present in me. Now, you may know that this channel is rather new. This is my third upload, so far my most edited video, and my first attempt at voiceover content. I took a long stretch of time during the start of this year to learn as much as I could about my editing software and how to give myself a recording setup. I thought that I would have this video out multiple times over the last month, after round of re-editing, applying new things I'd learned, and troubleshooting features that caused the program to crash on me. I hadn't originally intended to have voiceover, but once the idea popped into my head, I was determined to cross that bridge. With publishing this video, I feel like I've crossed a threshold that has opened up the future of this channel. I now have a rather good idea of how long it takes me to edit, how I should record going forward to minimize editing. I now have the equipment I need to get the shots I want out of my work, and that has helped me to really flesh out the ideas I have for future videos on this channel. Oh, hello, Salem. Unbeknownst to me, this little one snuck into frame to check up on what chaos I was up to. I had no idea she was back there. But honestly, she probably spends just as much time in this corner as I do. She's always meowing to be let on my lap or have some kind of spot made up for her. Yes, she is the queen, this is her space, and you do not mess with this space. She came in so suspicious of what was happening, I should have expected her coming around for a status update. I could just hear her thinking. And yeah, she did that. Back when we first cleared the space, we woke up to 2 strategically left, unwrapped gifts where the furniture once stood. She is unrepentant. Why bother trying to beautify my space, or turn this into this, when I'm only just crossing the starting line of an online career? Well, because presence of beauty excites the mind in ways that comfort and inspire. You may ask, what does a dark wall color do for your art that a white wall doesn't? Well, dark walls neutralize much of the light in my space, illuminating only that which I'm working on. Where white walls illuminate everything and constantly lure my eyes away from my painting, dark walls push the rest of the world away, allowing me to fall deeply into my images. This color is dynamic, changing with the day and the weather. When the sunlight shines on it, it goes black and helps me to focus. When the clouds roll in, it vibrates a deep blue that helps to bat my fatigue away. These dark walls make me feel like I'm painting within myself rather than in a bright, noisy world that constantly tells me there are other things to do. That said, what color would you paint your walls given the opportunity? Why that specific color? Feel free to tell me in the comments below. So, what are my plans? What kind of channel will my channel be? I want to make this channel about my art, the journey of taking an idea from concept to painting. I want to create a series that you can play while you work that recaptures the feeling of group studios, that feeling of working, knowing someone else is working alongside you, being accountable with you, and being able to look at their work when you get stuck on your own is such a good remedy to painting paralysis. I want to talk about inspiration and hopefully help you to find your own creativity by showing you how I cultivated my own. I want to look at different art books and stories and video games that I find beautiful or inspiring or deeply affecting, and discuss them in a way that maybe helps you to see them in a new light, so that you can distill what it is that you find so inspiring about it. I feel that that's kind of the way that we find our own organic inspiration. And I want to answer questions like, what is the point of painting in today's world? And can we be successful as artists? Now that painting is finished, let's talk about my goals for this year. Late I may be, but in the game I most certainly am. This year, I want to accomplish 3 main goals. First, I want to paint and record regularly. These past few months have been about creating the space I want to work in, learning to edit, and getting a feel for recording, editing, and publishing alongside my painting practice. Now that I've gone through a few months of this, I feel like I can move forward with implementing my ideas for a weekly schedule I'd outlined for myself way back at the start of this journey. That, in part, will mean going back to bullet journaling and probably buying a big dry erase calendar for my fridge. The more creativity I can introduce to my schedule, the better I'll be at turning it into a habit. Second, I want to find the upload schedule that works best for me. Say once every month or a video every 2 weeks. Depending on what I enjoy the most and what you find the most interesting, I'll be able to land on whether I should upload more or less often. Uploading more often might take the shape of breaking for longer periods of time to focus on filming and giving myself a stockpile of videos to upload. That way I can engage with them more while I focus on painting and fully fleshing out future videos, as opposed to, say, recording every week, coming up with a new concept every week, etc., etc. Or it could take the form of more studio sessions like my previous video. Whether live streamed or pre-recorded, it would mean more often we're just painting together without any voiceover. Third, I want to monetize this channel, preferably by the end of this year. While I know channels can often take years to monetize, if they ever do, I feel like this is completely possible if I'm able to accomplish my previous two goals. Monetization would mean bigger, grander projects, building a community of creatives both here and on a future website of my own. It would mean achieving the life that I want of making all my living from my art and bringing my visual storytelling to people who might really connect with it. Alright, the walls are painted, the paint is dried, and the tape has been peeled. The time has finally come to put this all together, and of course, I had to start with the easel, the centerpiece. Bringing everything into the space was so satisfying an end for this project. As it all came together, I was definitely tired, but this feeling of excitement came over me. I had already been fantasizing about how it would all look, but now that it was happening, I was seeing idea after idea sprout in my head. I could see paintings I'd never thought of being made in this corner, and I started to visualize things like how I might fit something along the lines of a 6-foot-long wood panel across my drafting table and easel, what working on something so big would be like, and whether I'll need to get Salem a dedicated cat tree for this space so I can work without having to move her around on my chair all day. It reminded me of what it was like before I went to school. Back then, when life was very nomadic, surroundings were either the interior of a car or the cramped walls of a dark house. Finding inspiration, ultimately being creative, was such a challenge that I feared I might not become the artist I intended to. I felt that, for all I had to say, I wouldn't be able to find the right way to say it. But leaving to live and study in the same streets as artists I'd studied since I was a child, being surrounded by such historic, beautiful buildings that had surrounded them, and learning from their surviving masterpieces, gave me hope that I had creativity in me. It had just been stifled by years of lacking beauty in my life. Finding beauty gave me an idea of what I needed. It gave me direction, and once I have a direction, I can build a way to it. I don't think I've ever had a more comfortable, more dedicated space for working as an artist than I do now. May this video inspire you to build your own artistic space. In the comments below, I would love to know how you would make your own studio. What color would you paint the walls? What kind of surroundings would inspire you? And what do you want to see next? If you enjoyed this video, I hope you'll leave a like, comment, and subscribe for the next one. Goodbye for now, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.